No peace! Police! Black Lives Matter! Refugees are welcome here! Black Lives Matter! Black Lives Matter! No peace! Jacob Blake! Jacob Blake! Mercy Baguma! Mercy Baguma! Jacob Blake! Black Lives Matter!
Across Wales, all different causes, all coming together for one issue, which is justice. So XR have let us in here. I think everybody should get involved in the next coming days in what the action's going on all around Cardiff. Like Manchester, London and Cardiff are one of the hubs of the action. Right, so... Anyone speak first?
Nelly!
Our first speaker is Nelly. Yeah, get ready. Brace yourselves.
Hi everyone. My name's Nelly, Queen Niche. You've probably seen me at a lot of the BLM marches, the protests. I've been giving a lot of speeches. I've been investing so much of my time. Let me put it this way. My entire existence, today, this is not tomorrow. Being black is every single day. So 2 months ago, from the protests, we've all invested our times, our efforts, our speeches, our hearts, our everything. And then I wake up, as usual, like we probably all do, your 10-minute social media rituals, you know, let's see who's messaged me for the day. I didn't see the messages I wanted to see on this day, because I opened my phone, and what I had to witness was yet again another black man walking away from the police. But this time, no, this time, they think they're all right because it wasn't a knee on his neck. This time, the man that was breaking up a fight, walking towards his car to get in front of his children, was chased by 2 white, privileged police males. Why do I say it the way I say it? You think you're gonna go and empty your gun in another black man's back? America, you have failed yourselves. Now everyone thinks, but it's only America. And in the same week, I got to wake up to read about Mercy Baguma. Wow. United Kingdom. I'm sorry. Where is the unity? Where is the unity? What, because she was a refugee? Do you understand that everywhere across the world on a daily basis, people are being starved, people's homes are being bombed, people are being evicted for nothing but profit and money and power? But now the failure is so evident in our own country. A refugee starved to death beside her baby. Now, do you know why this is such a problem and why this issue is absolutely diabolical? It's because this country is supposedly got systems in place in order to protect the people. Where was the protection? Where is the unity? Refugees! Refugees weren't refugees! Refugees were people who went home, who sat in their houses, who fed their children, who had a life until... You know the true definition of terrorism? This is it! Guys, there's not much I can actually speak of right now in a calm way to be able to maybe spread education. But you need to understand, my heart will spread awareness, and it's doing it naturally. I'm doing this instinctively. Is that why you let her die? She was a woman of colour? Is that why you let her die? I've been reading it all. It's brilliant. She was an alcoholic. She was this. She had underlying... Do you know what? In every single scenario you bring out, there has to be an underlying medical condition, right? Right? So this woman dies because of her underlying conditions. Not because of the neglect, not because of the failings, not because we fail to accept refugees as human beings that had their entire lives taken from them and then have swum through seas. They don't even know how to swim, and they're battling, and then they get here and they're begging us. What excuse have you now got to have shot a man that was breaking up a fight? Is it because he was black? Because other than that, we see nothing else. He wasn't resisting you, he wasn't speaking to you, he was executing his civilian right, which he is allowed to do. Because unless you are placed under arrest, you do not have to stay. But none of us can what? Stand up to say every human in this. Please keep being you, being strong. I love you all. Spread awareness and don't stop what we're doing now. Black Lives Matter. Refugees will always be welcome.
Thanks for that, Nelly. Again, I need this megaphone because I can't shout that loud. Right, our next speaker will be Camilla. She's from the Free Sianda campaign. And if you could give Camilla a massive welcome, that'd be great. Camilla's also a very loud speaker, if I can say that. And I don't think she'll need this either, but we'll see.
You got this! You're my competition, Cam!
I am, I think so. Welcome everybody. It's good to see you all here. And the fact that you are here, it means you care what's going on in the world, the atrocities, I get tongue-tied, and the injustices that are going on against people of colour. I'm not a great speaker, but since my daughter suffered her own injustice, my eyes have been truly opened, okay? Truly opened with what's going on. I'm here devices when she came to the UK for help. But what's happening here, guys, you all need to speak up about it because your voice, the fact that you're here, you obviously want to do something and take part and make a change. But your voice is important and we need to speak up in our own constituencies. So things like writing to your MP, right here in Wales, writing to the Senate, your AMs or MSs as they're now called. You have to make a difference like that also, not just by coming to these protests, but by the they would have related it to their daughter, their granddaughter, their niece. But because purely of the colour of their skin, they couldn't relate it because she's black and you don't understand. But it's lovely to see people coming here trying to understand the difficulties that people of colour face. Yes? In the system where you have to seek asylum, you're treated like dirt, which is the Welsh Assembly here in Wales. Nothing will change. So I hope that you find a way to come together, to unite. And no one understands a person of colour situation. Why are we still in that mindset where we have to work twice as hard to get a good job, twice as hard to be successful, twice as hard, 10 times as hard to get noticed in the UK? And then when the atrocities you hear from other countries, yes, you feel passionate, and so you should be. But I'm telling you now, guys, you need to focus what's going on in the UK, because it's just as bad. If the police here were having guns, we would be just as bad as the US. But I'm telling you now, police with tasers are just as bad, because there's a black person in London that was made paralysed because he was tasered while jumping over a wall.
You can get involved in the fight to change society. You know, after all these decades, we can replace this rotten system with real democracy. We can replace it with a socialist society where everyone has a voice, where everyone can breathe. Coming out on a demo is a start, but we cannot leave protesting here and just go home again. We have to organise if we want to get rid of this murderous capitalist system. I'll say it one more time, racism is an attempt to keep black and white working class people divided. We can't let them get away with that anymore. To change society, we need everyone together. And so, if you think you might agree, or you want to find out more, go over to the Socialist Party stall back there for a chat after. Because it's your future. And as the Black Panthers always said, seize the time!
We have been defunding social services, we have been defunding education for decades. Yet when we say we want to defund the police and invest in communities, invest in mental health services, invest in better society, then we're told that we're extremists. They've been doing it this whole time. It just doesn't benefit them when poorer people are able to actually live a dignified life, because the whole basis, the whole logic of the system crumbles down. Studies show when you've got black women, need to be that strong. Black women should have the ability to be whatever they want. But yes, black women, we say black women are strong. And I was robbed of ever going back, essentially, from when I was younger, to ever go back to the country I was born. And then I grew up and I was called a terrorist, etc., etc. And the people that were in the country I was born were my earliest memory of the news is watching the bombs go over Baghdad in 2003. That is my earliest memory. That is when people say, what radicalized you? You radicalized me. You did. You bombed the city I walked in just a year before. And you blew up people in my family. That is what radicalized me. Your racist foreign policy that puts black lives at the bottom of the ocean. That is what we're talking about. We're talking about a system that cares nothing for people. We talk about, again, and this is why it's so important to get involved in XR, because we're talking about climate refugees as well. We're talking about black lives are at the forefront of climate change, being tsunamis, earthquakes, famine, everything. It's happening in the global south first, and it's happening because we don't care enough. Yes. And it's our emissions that are causing that damage. It's not this, ours. It's the richest households that are creating the climate change that is going to destroy this earth. And it's really important that we all link these struggles. And we're going to hear about from Ekla actually later, because it is so important. And they're not something that isn't to do with this movement. This is why the 5th of September is so important and why it's so great that XR have opened it up for all different organisations and campaigns. Because if we do not unite, then they will continue to divide us and they will continue to profit off lives and most definitely black lives.
It's not radical, it's real.
Thank
That's
you,
the
Nelly. It's
difference.
not radical, it's real. Exactly. Right, so that's my little piece then.
Before they start posting radical posts about you, do you get what I mean?
I don't get, call me a radical, because like James Baldwin said, to be black in America is to be in a state of rage every single day. Right, so is anyone else want to see it? I reckon I'll be alright with that, can you hear me? Just about.
Yeah.
Alright, cool. Guys, I can't thank you all enough for like the passion and the lived experience that you're sharing at cost to yourselves as well. I want to talk to you about organising together. So, Extinction Rebellion formed initially out of a true need to look at our global context and the issues that we're having and will face in our own cities as well. But here we are a year later, and we're talking about social justice and economic justice and racial justice. We've been working alongside the SAME and other groups, because actually where we are now, it's justice now. Justice for everyone. Everything that was said earlier, this system is broken. It's not meant for any of us. It's not meant for the communities who see their only green part. You live in a flat, the only space you can go, your own health and well-being, that disappears. You have no say in it. When the water rises in Cardiff Bay and Riverside, my home floods, I have no say in it. We need to organise together. We're coming to every group, every organisation. We can march together, and at some point we're going to have to break this system.
Yeah.
We can walk on the streets, and when we're gone, the police officers say, "Thank you very much," and they go back to arresting black boys in parks, shopping us for speeding, but they sit there while banks put £180 billion in 3 years, enslaving people in other countries, ruining the environment they live in, the water they need for their food, the air they breathe. I don't see them stood up by Lloyd's right now. I don't see them at Santander. I don't see them at the Senate, who are sponsoring BAE, Welsh weapons companies. We've got people flying, we've got Saudi Arabian pilots training in Anglesey right now.
Shame.
To fly bombs and drop bombs on Yemen. In Wales. This all links up. There's nothing that should divide us. And I ask you, this is our first get together on the 5th, that's next Saturday. We'd love you to come and speak. This is not about me. It's not about Extinction Rebellion. It's about all of us coming together for the first time. And then the time after that, and the time after that, because we won't stop. When you feel it in your heart, this is your work. This is what we all need to do to make a better world for literally every person. I don't want to walk past signs that say the council is sorting out homelessness as they close down the shelters they put people in and put them back out on the street. There are signs in our society every which way you look, and we need to close our eyes to the rubbish and focus our hearts on the people around us, the people that are facing loss, that are facing racial injustice every day, social injustice every day. I spoke to a man yesterday on the bridge. He's just been kicked out of his house. You can still get evicted from your house in Wales because we won't put that through. COVID is still here. It's killing people and people have died needlessly for it. What are the government doing? Fuck all.
So together, I ask, let's put our energy into organising together. We march together, we take action together. And those of us that can go that extra mile and take the action, which means they have no choice but to change. And I'm talking about our governance, our council, our Boris Johnson. That terrible
Yeah,
man.
we know what he is.
That's all I've got to say. So I pass this to the next person. Thank you.
All right, so I think our last speaker, unless anyone else wants to come up, is Andrew from BLM Newport, or BLM Gwent, I should say.
To think I stood here, I don't know, almost 3 months ago now, to talk about George Floyd, and I'm back here again, talking about another black man that's been murdered by the police. It really puts things into perspective. All of us have been working hard, all the different activists across Wales, to try and bring about the changes that we deserve, that we want to see in our country, but yet again, we've been derailed, destabilized by another unlawful killing of a black man in a situation that should never have occurred in the first place. And it goes back to a philosopher that I like. His name is Navarre, and he talks about how human beings need to fight for two types of freedom: the freedom to and freedom from. So the freedom to be able to live as you please, to be an individual, and the freedom from oppression, from discrimination. And these are fights, struggles for freedom, for our humanity. Black Lives Matter is not a moment. In fact, it's not really just a movement either. People like to say it's a movement, not a movement. No, it's a fight for our humanity, first and foremost. It's a struggle for our freedom to be ourselves, my freedom to be a black man, and freedom from the oppression of the powers that be, from a system that wants to exploit me. And David just said that the system is broken. If anything, I think the system is working exactly how it was intended to work. The system was created to oppress us from the beginning. In fact, the system is working fantastically. And that's why it's so hard to defeat. That's why it's so hard. That's why it's so elusive, because the system is working exactly how it's supposed to work. It's supposed to work with working class people, and then people of color within that class being at the bottom. There's a racial hierarchy that's been created by the elite. There's a class hierarchy that's been created by the elite. And they will do anything to maintain the status quo. They will fight tooth and nail. Power does not concede without a fight. Nobody willingly gives up power. Nobody's willingly gonna give us a seat at the table. Why would they do that? They're profiting from it. They're benefiting from it. Their family members are benefiting from it. Their friends. The nepotism is rife in these systems. Look at all the people at the top, the cream of the crop. They all went to the same school. Eton, Oxford, they all went to the same place. They all know each other. And they know what the issues are. It's not about raising awareness anymore. How much more awareness do you need that when you turn on the news or go on your Bezos, for example? We're living through a global pandemic. His money's going up, up. Different kinds of numbers he's hitting. He doesn't care about the people working in his warehouses, people that are slaving away. He doesn't care. And that's just one example, but that's how it works. The system is working exactly how it's supposed to be working. And recently I've been reading a book, How to Be an Anti-Racist by Ibram X. Kendi. And in that book he says, the reason why a lot of movements, civil rights movements fails is because we're doing things in the wrong order. We're trying to appeal to their humanity, the powers that be's humanity, and trying to unite people without first targeting the policy makers, the people that actually have the power of the pen. At a stroke of a pen, they can change everything that we're campaigning for. look what happened with the outrage with school results. It was changed immediately because it was in their best interest. The powers that be will only do what's in their best interest, or when they stand to lose something. And right now, they're okay with watching people protest all over the country and not doing anything about it. They're okay with it because we've not been focused enough. We're not demanding enough. We're not telling them that we're not going to stop until you give us what we're demanding, the changes we're demanding, the policy changes. That's where the real change lies. We can do as much as we can to change people's mindsets and mind frames, and that's necessary. We have to. But that's going to fall on deaf ears unless the policies change, unless we have a united front between all different groups, because a lot of us, we're saying the same things just in a different manner. We all have similar goals at the end of our tunnel, but we're just going about it in different manners. And once we all unite, all the BLM groups, all the different social justice groups such as XR, that's when the magic is going to happen, because the powers that be will stand something to lose. And so I need everyone, I'm appealing to everyone to stay focused. Stay focused, have clarity in your mind, have an end goal in sight. What do we actually want to see change? We want to see our education systems change. We want to see our policies about refugees and asylum seekers change. I came to the UK when I was 4 years old. I didn't get my passport till I was 13. I'm 22 now. If I had got up here and told you my experiences as a migrant, man, I don't think I would be able to go through that again. Being a second-class citizen. That's what you are. You're invisible. For so many years of my life here in the UK, I was like an invisible man. Outside my bubble of my family and the people in my life, I was not being seen. Being in rooms with people, with policymakers who talk about you like you're not a human being, you're just a number, just a figure, just another case that they have to deal with. Do you know how dehumanizing that is? When you look on the news and you see the way refugees are described, you're less than human. When you dehumanize people, you then desensitize people's reactions to what happens to them. They just become numbers and stories, but these are real people with the capacity to love, real people with their own goals, with their own ambitions, with their own destiny. They're not just figures or political topics. Should we let them in? Why is that even a debate? These are human beings fleeing God knows what kind of turmoil they're fleeing. Do you know what it means to have to go to that sea, to cross a sea, a channel? You don't know what's going to happen to you. You can't swim. You're leaving everything you know behind. And you think these people are coming here to steal your jobs? No, they're coming here because their lives depends on it. Because ourselves also. And that's what we need to start doing.
Yes,
we need to focus on the healing. We need to heal. Humans are our own worst enemy.
Yes.
We are our own worst enemy, and until we all take long, hard looks at ourselves and what we're doing to better our race, to better the social situation, the environmental situation, we're not going to get anywhere. And of course, coming to things like this it's just the beginning. This is not the hard work. This is easy. It's easy to come to a protest and go home and feel gratified and fulfilled. But that is not enough. You have to keep going. You have to want to change as much as they want to oppress. Because they are willing to fight tooth and nail to maintain the status quo. So we have to be willing and ready to fight to dismantle it. Because we have to. Our survival depends on it. It's really that simple. And so, next week Saturday, there's another big march organized by XR, BLM Cardiff, BLM Greta involved, different organizations. We're going to have our own demonstration for Jacob Blake in Newport on Sunday. If anyone can make that, that would be fantastic. But we can't stop until we've achieved real tangible goals, until we can all sit down and say, us doing this led to this being changed. Otherwise it's all just smoke and mirrors. We're fighting shadows. We can't hold on to anything until we can safely say that the government is changing policy. And then we can talk about changing attitude. Thank you.
So next time will be go to Andrew's demonstration and BLM Gwen's demonstration on Sunday, and come to the massive demonstration on the Saturday, organised by a range of groups on a range of causes from Cardiff and beyond. Because united we are stronger, and together we can build a new world. Thank you everyone for coming.